Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm Chris Bianchi, and what you're looking at here on the right-hand side of your screen, quickly developing wildfire we first heard about half an hour ago. This is near C470 and I-70 on the west side of the Denver metro area, right near Morrison. Highway 93 is currently closed between I-70 and Alameda, and this is again in the West Metro Fires on the scene of a growing wildfire on the hogbacks near Alameda and C470. That's why, again, we're breaking into coverage here just to give you a little bit of an idea about what we're seeing right now. I'll say this too as a meteorologist. We've seen really strong winds throughout the course of the state. It's also very dry outside. So for those of you in the Golden and Morrison areas, I would just have that go bag ready to go, because this is unfortunately one of those types of days where any fire that starts could spread quickly. And again, I'm going to repeat for you what West Metro Fire is saying, that they are on the scene of a growing wildfire on the hogback near Alameda and C470. Smoke and flames are visible. They are calling in extra resources. I will say this as well: there are no evacuations currently in place, so there is nothing in place right now in terms of any evacuations, at least as far as we know. I will say this though, as I mentioned again, from a meteorologist, putting on my meteorologist hat here for a quick second. Winds are gusting up to about 70 miles an hour in this area. It is very, very dry also, so this is one of those days where any fire that starts will have the potential to spread very quickly. So again, have that go bag ready to go, know where your pets are, that sort of thing. Again, one of those days where we're certainly going to want to be on extra alert and caution at this point. This just giving you a little bit of the extra information. What you're looking at here, this is near Golden, C470 and Alameda, where we do have this fire that was first reported in around 1:45, I should say around 2:15. So a little over half an hour ago is when we first saw reports of this. Smoke is visible across the West Metro area. We'll also say, as well, as that West Metro Fire is asking people to stop calling 911 about the wildfire. They are aware of it at this point. And you can see here as well that the Matthews Winter Park area is where we're seeing this. You can see the signage there in the near ground. And unfortunately, you can see just the smoke that's being blown around here. The winds are coming out of the north and west. So to me, again, as a meteorologist, I'm a little concerned that this smoke and this fire could push its way into more developed areas over the course of the next few minutes, few hours. The good news is, I will say again, meteorologically speaking, is as we head over the course of the next few hours, these winds will die back down. So again, winds right now gusting 70, in some cases even 80 or 80 miles an hour or stronger. These winds will relax once we get to about 5, 6, 7 o'clock. They won't entirely die off. We're still going to be talking about 40, 50 mile an hour gusts through the overnight time period, but the 70, 80 mile an hour stuff should come to a close by about 5, 6, 7 o'clock or so this evening. Problem is, again, the next few hours, this is not a great situation. And you can see all those areas of smoke. At last check, our understanding was that this was about 2 acres being covered by this fire, but that, again, in terms of any sort of acreage, it's hard to get a sense for that at this point, just because any fire that is in place right now is going to spread very quickly. Certainly one of those days that you want to be very cautious as you head out and about. And of course, nothing with a spark outdoors on a day like today when we got these strong winds, a very dry atmosphere, and again, that potential for any fire that starts to spread very quickly. Just going to quickly take a look here to see if we got any updates. Again, Jeffco 911 asking people to stop calling 911 because of the amount of fires that are getting inundated with calls. And that's, again, taking Jeffco's words directly. Again, this is the wildfire that's in the area of Matthews Winter Park near Morrison. So somewhere between kind of Morrison and Golden here in the hogbacks. That's where this fire did start. And again, we first got report of it about 2:15, and you can still see some of that smoke there. I will say, with this vantage point, maybe a little optimistically here, it looks like there's a little less smoke than there was a few minutes ago. So hopefully, again, knock on wood here. Again, this is just speculation on my part here, but just looking at this, it does look like there's maybe a little bit less smoke than there was about 15, 20 minutes ago. By the way, this vantage point, you're looking towards the south. This is from Lookout Mountain. So what you're seeing off in the distance there, that fire start, and Matthews Winter Park. This is, again, near Morrison, where you're looking towards the south right now. Again, one of the concerns is you can kind of tell from this vantage point. This is actually a very, very good vantage point to give us an idea about the potential danger within this. Is the winds are coming out of the northwest. They're coming from kind of behind and to the right of the camera and what you're looking at right now. And they would take any fire and any of that smoke and spread it forward and to the left on your screen here. So again, any fire that starts right now would spread its way into more developed areas. So again, I just want to kind of reemphasize, if you're in the Morrison, Golden areas, just have that go bag ready to go. You always should. Today is a good day, hopefully just as a reminder of that, and that's what we're hoping for at this point, is that today's just a good reminder of that. But again, if you got somebody you know in that area as well, maybe worth giving them a text. Hey, you see this fire start out there near Matthews Winters Park. The fire and the smoke is in the area of C470 and Alameda. Again, might want to just send a text to somebody that might be in the area and just let them know. And again, probably a good idea just to start thinking about those things. You know, the go bag, pets, just being ready to go on a short time notice. Again, last check, there are no evacuations. I don't want to false alarm or anything like that. There are no evacuations in place. It's just, again, this is kind of my meteorologist speak coming into play here, is the fact that because of the fact that we are looking at such exceptionally dangerous fire conditions, that any fire that does start will have the potential to spread very, very quickly. And hopefully here, I know that the metro area fire crews are on extra alert today, so I think and I hope that they're responding quickly to this. And again, from my vantage point, looking at what you're seeing here on your screen, it does look like the smoke looks notably lower than it was a short while ago. But that said, hopefully here, this fire will be contained, put out here in the next few hours. But again, just a good day to be cautious. When we're talking about 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds, any fire that does start will have the potential to spread pretty quickly. So again, just kind of repeating what we know, which is, in full transparency, not a whole lot. But what we do know at this point, there is a wildfire in the area of Matthews Winters Park near Morrison. Jeffco asking people to stop calling 911 because they're getting lots and lots of calls. The fire is in the hogbacks near Alameda and C470, smoke and flames visible, and West Metro Fire is calling in extra resources at this point. And we'll continue to keep you posted with the latest on this. I'm just taking a quick glance here just to see in case there's anything else that we may be missing here. But again, just trying to make sure that you get the latest on this. Also, by the way, here, folks, Highway 93 is closed for a good part of this metro of the west side of the metro area. I'll also add in here, folks, if you're west of I-25 and you don't have to drive, don't drive today. It's horribly nasty out there with the wind and the really dry conditions. And we've had reports of dust storms on 287 between Erie and Longmont. We've had some pretty dramatic visuals from that area today as well. So again, if you can avoid driving today, definitely a good idea to avoid the roadways. But here's another vantage point. You can see quite a few emergency response vehicles that are in place. And also notice one thing here as well. That looks like a pretty good plume of smoke and quite a bit of fire there off in the distance. That is not the best thing to see there. But one thing, and if we are able to pan this camera out now, what you were seeing a few seconds ago is that there was those kind of patchy networks of smoke and fire. That to me is a little bit of a concerning sign, because that's what happens when we're talking about these sorts of wildfires. And here's a broader view, and in fact it looks like a bit of darker smoke and maybe a bit of a quick, unfortunately this doesn't look as good as it did 5 minutes or so ago, but when you get these really strong winds and you see that kind of patchiness to that smoke and to those fires, like what you can see here, there's the vantage point. Notice on the left you can see that little bit of smoke, and then on the right you got that. The wind is carrying embers and little kind of bits of fire essentially into different areas. So the concern to me at this point, and there it is, this is being pushed along by embers, and this is how these fires can spread very, very quickly. And when we get winds 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, it's very dry out. We've got ripe conditions, unfortunately, for fast fire spread. What we're seeing right now, unfortunately, is, for me as a meteorologist, a bit concerning when you're seeing that little bit of patchiness. That's the work of the wind right now, with that fire and that smoke getting carried very easily. And as you can see, some of those firefighters, I'm certain they're doing the best they can. Hopefully this will be contained here the next little while, but this is certainly not the situation where you certainly want to be prepared for the worst in this scenario because of the fire conditions. Here's the broad view again for those of you just joining us. This is the view from Lookout Mountain looking off towards the south and the east. And by the way, what you're looking at, this vantage point, that is also the direction of the wind. So notice how the smoke is getting pushed front and left on your screen. That's getting pushed out into the metro area. That's also the direction that any fire that starts would go. So unfortunately, that does mean that a lot of the more developed areas of Morrison, south side of Golden, could be at risk here. And we'll keep you posted with the latest on that. I'm just going to take another quick glance here, just make sure there's nothing just coming into the newsroom here about this wildfire. But at this point, we do know grass fire reported near Morrison, right near C470 and I-70. Highway 93 is currently closed from I-70 down to Morrison, and residents should avoid calling 911 to report the smoke. They've had plenty of calls already in place. Red flag warning in place for the metro area until about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight as well. Those winds will die back down between about 5 and 7 this evening, and that will help out. But unfortunately, the winds will continue to be pretty strong as we head over the next little while. But at this point, what we do know, wildfire near Alameda and C470, and I should say Alameda and I-70, and this is in the area of the Hogbacks, Matthews, Winners Park, and we don't have an idea about the size of the fire at this point. It's probably, unfortunately, quickly spreading, and also we did see a tweet earlier on from West Metro Fire that this is a growing wildfire. So again, we'll keep posted with the latest on this as it comes into us here at the newsroom, but at this point, still some very limited information. And by the way, this just coming into us now, a pre-evacuation notice was sent via lookout alert to the area of Morrison that lies east of Highway 8 south to US 285. So just repeat, there's a pre-evacuation notice for the part of Morrison that lies east of Highway 8 and south to 285. So I was saying this a short while ago, and fortunately this looks kind of worse and worse, this camera shot here. You can see just the wind whipping around the camera as well, and you can see the wind shaking this camera as well from Lookout Mountain, and that smoke being spread very quickly from northwest down to southeast. Again, point being here, folks, if you're joining us from the Golden and Morrison areas, we are talking about the potential for a very, very fast wildfire spread, and we are likely, quite likely seeing that right now at this point. And again, that pre-evacuation notice sent out for the area of Morrison that lies east of Highway 8 and south to 285. So again, just to kind of repeat here, I know here, folks, you've been with me for a little while, probably sounding repetitive. I know I sounded in my own mind. And the reason being is we just don't know that much at this point, but just want to reemphasize what we do know, which is that wildfire reported along the Hogbacks south of Interstate 70 west of Denver this afternoon. We got the first report in around 2:15, so about 45 minutes ago, and you can see the smoke on the right-hand side of your screen and all the emergency crews that are responding to this. Highway 93 is currently closed from I-70 to Morrison. Pre-evacuation notices in place for the Morrison area from Highway 8 south to 285. So that is what we know at this point, which, again, understandably not a lot. But to put my meteorologist hat back on here for a quick second and to repeat the fact that the good news side of things is that the winds will die back down. It's 3 o'clock, a little after 3 o'clock right now. By about 5, 6, 7 o'clock, these winds will notably die back down, especially for the metro, for kind of central Denver, where it's been blustery all day on east. But even here in this area, those winds will be notably lighter in about 2 to 3 hours or so compared to what they are right now. Problem is, the next 2 to 3 hours, this is going to be the key prime time for this fire to hopefully get put out, but it could also spread quite quickly in that time frame because of the fact that winds are gusting 70, 80 miles an hour in this part of the metro area. And this is probably the windiest part of the metro area as well. So when I saw this smoke, I said, oh no, not the right area for this to be taking place in because of how dry it is, but also this is the windiest part of the metro area. Again, those winds likely gusting 70, if not 80 miles an hour in this part of the metro area right now, and that will lead to the potential for very fast fire spread. And you can see that smoke and that fire spreading quite quickly here on your camera. That is not a good visual. It does appear that this fire continues to spread based on what we're seeing here at this point. But I'm going to step off here for the next few moments. Again, what we do know, Pre-evacuation notices in place for Morrison from Highway 8 down to 285. I'll say this for basically all of Morrison. Have that go bag ready to go. Know where your pets are. Just be ready to go on a short space and distance. This is not a great setup here at this point, unfortunately. But again, what we do know is that there is this fire that is appearing to spread quite quickly, and we'll keep you posted with the very latest on it right here on 9 News Plus. Once again, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. We'll keep you posted with the latest on this wildfire near Golden and Morrison.
Absolutely wild all afternoon. Just about everywhere you go to the western part of the metro area, the wind has just been howling. Take a look behind me. We are just along Morrison Road, and we're actually at the entrance of Matthews Winters Park. You're looking toward the fire that has slowly started to kind of creep over the top of that hogback to the other side of the ridge, and I know that there's a lot more activity there now. We were here earlier and this area was just smoldering, lots of active fire. This fire started, according to a Jeffco ranger that I talked to here on the scene, right around 2:15. He was here in the parking lot of Matthews Winters Park. He said it started about maybe 50 yards off the roadway. I want to swing over here if we can, right near these power poles that are here along the ridge. Maybe just a little bit to the left of them is where he saw what looked like the starting point of this fire, but you see how much it's burned as we pan to the side here, just kind of working its way up and over that ridge. And the big concern right now is spot fires. I want to bring in Rhonda Schulting with West Metro Fire. We're going to try to do this interview as best we can with as windy as it is out here, Rhonda, but what can you tell me right now about the conditions?
You know, this has been brutal. Sorry.
Hold on to me, that's okay.
I think we're going to play bumper cars here in a minute because we keep losing our footing on this wind. This has been brutal all day like this. We had actually a fire in someone's front yard on Kentucky earlier this afternoon. The house almost caught fire, but the crew got in there quick enough to stop that. Here you can see how hard the wind is blowing. This fire quickly went upslope, kind of crested, and is slowly backing down the other side. We estimate this at about 10 acres right now. It's probably grown a little bit more since that first estimate, but about 10 acres. Don't know how many firefighters. I mean, we have dozens here. We have lots of neighboring agencies that are helping us out here.
I was going to say, I've seen Foothills Fire, Genesee, just Evergreen Fire brought a truck in. Just about everybody's here.
Oh yeah, no, everybody's helping because you know, we all help each other, especially under conditions like these. I mean, it's really hard. Imagine fighting a fire when you can barely stand up.
Yeah. The big concern I know in a lot of fires like this, when the wind is blowing as hard as it is spotting. Are you seeing any spot fires on the other side?
We have seen some spot fires, some very small ones on the other side of the hogback near Alameda and C470. Jefferson County Sheriff also. Yeah, I got to hang on to you. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office has sent in a pre-evac notice for a small portion of the town of Morrison. So we're watching that. We're watching where this fire is going. You know, obviously on the other side of the hogback, we've got Solterra, and we've got several neighborhoods over there. Right now, nothing's happening with them in terms of evacuations, though. Just that small area in Morrison.
How hard is it to fight a fire like this? You talked about the wind, but you can't get air support in now just because the winds are blowing so much.
Yeah, we can't. You know, even if it was available, and we do know that Douglas County has a helicopter that's, you know, waiting on standby, but that helicopter cannot get up in winds like this. Even if it couldn't make a very accurate drop. So yeah, no air support with this.
Rhonda Schulting from West Metro Fire. We'll keep in touch with you. Keep an eye on this fire behind me. This is an active scene. Lots going on this side of town tonight. I will say that I checked in with the Jeffco Sheriff, Kim, about Red Rocks because there's a show there tonight. Red Rocks not included right now in that pre-evacuation area, but they certainly want everyone in this area to keep their heads up because you never know if the wind's going to shift or blow potentially something in that direction. We'll keep an eye out here. Luckily, things are starting to calm down on this side of the hogback. We'll keep an eye on this fire, though.